there is a limit of how much one person or even a team can produce and get the results that they're looking for. So, in many cases, it was like a hit and miss, and whatever people tried, it's very hard to get the virality or the effects that you are looking for. And now we got these tools that I believe have the potential to transform not only the role of the content creators, but also the outcomes that they achieved in the marketplace.
This is Social Pulse Podcast Retail Edition, your go-to guide to solving your biggest retail social media marketing challenges authentically. I'm your host, Mike Alton, and each episode is an honest and frank look at what marketers go through, from awful algorithms to terrific trends and ideas that you can apply to your own business. And now, the rest of today's episode. I'm joined by my amazing and remarkable co-host, Robin Diamond, as well as Hannah, Kathleen, and Ron. I'm going to give each of you a few seconds to introduce yourselves, starting with you, Robin. You just swooped in right on time. Who are you? What do you do?
Hi, everyone. I'm Robin Diamond. I'm the CEO and founder of Fifth and Core. We are a marketing and innovation company, and I am super excited to have made it on time as I'm running.
Fantastic. Hannah, how about you go next?
Sure, Hannah Ben Shabbat. I'm the founder of Gen Z Planet. We are a research and advisory firm focusing solely on Gen Z and helping brands to understand Gen Z, both as consumers and as employees.
Terrific. Kathy, why don't you share who you are next?
Thanks, Mike. I'm Kathy Hotka. I'm a former VP of IT at the National Retail Federation. And what I do is help technology companies reach CIOs and CTOs.
Terrific. Ron?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm a longtime retail executive, head of stores for brands you may know like Intermix with Saint Laurent and Apple. I have a couple of different podcasts, Retail in America and Frontline Fridays, a book, and a recently launched new retail recruiting platform called Aussie.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So our next question, Hannah, I'm going to start with you. When it comes to retail marketing and social media in particular, what's got you excited already this year? It's only March. What's exciting?
For me, the most exciting things that happened this year, I think it's obvious. It's the arrival of ChatGPT and tools that are doing the same. Because one of the biggest struggles that I've seen over the past 10 years is the whole content creation. And it is a beast that needs to be constantly fed. And there is a limit of how much one person or even a team can produce and get the results that they're looking for. So, in many cases, it was like a hit and miss, and, whatever people tried, it's very hard to get the virality or the effects that you are looking for. And now we got these tools that I believe have the potential to transform not only the role of the content creators, but also the outcomes that they achieved in the marketplace. And I believe that that's really going to be a big change, and it's a very exciting change.
Fantastic.
Can I add to that?
Kathy?
I'd like to add to that. I think what Hannah said is really important. Consider also that the new 2D barcode, which is coming out of GS1, is going to allow retailers to have all kinds of content on the product itself. All the customer has to do is scan it with a phone, and they can see all this content, which they, by the way, don't have right now. So they're going to be looking for new ways to create content. They're going to be looking for companies that can assist them in doing this. And that can also help them with their social media outreach as well.
Okay, so I'm a retail noob and ignorant person other than being a consumer. So help me with this. So a 2D barcode, is that essentially a QR code that's now acting also as the barcode, but it's now linking to just a landing page that can have whatever they put on it?
Right now, that barcode is good only to the manufacturer and to the retailer. It doesn't mean anything to the consumer. But with a 2D barcode, which contains considerably more information, you as a consumer are going to be able to scan that loaf of bread and find out all kinds of new things about it that the label itself doesn't have. And, think about, a loaf of bread's a pretty simple thing to buy, but think about computers and cameras and all the rest of it. You're going to have access to a lot more information than you had before. But these folks who make these products are going to have to put that information together.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. It's very similar to what I was just talking to Jenna Delarty this afternoon at Feedonomics about, and how their tool helps retailers take those products and distribute them to all these channels and make sure that they're optimized for each individual channel. Like to your point, the right character count, the right size images, backgrounds are all set, and that sort of thing. Ron, anything you want to add?
I said I'm going to take a left turn here on a different topic and say what I'm most excited about is kind of user-generated content. And a lot of this is because of TikTok, but this kind of diminished importance of celebrity and influencer is really interesting. And I think now every brand that attaches a celebrity face to it's really perceived as being less relevant, less interesting. I can't see Kendall or Kylie on another brand. I just can't. And because it's so forced, and you just know that there's money behind it. And so this idea of people creating their own, becoming their own brands, being their own people, creating product, all of it is so interesting, and it's so much more authentic and more about who we are. And so I love this shift in our business. Having spent most of my career in fashion, I understand the importance of this and how it can influence buying, and I just love this shift.
Yeah, it's a reduction in the number of real endorsements, because that's really what those are. They're not influencers. They're not influencing based on any kind of authentic position. Robin, anything you want to add to that?
I think it's kind of tying everything together. So being able to sit there and say, hey, there's a shift in augmented reality, which is the 2D barcode, which has been great, and not to be misleading. It is not a QR code. It is a barcode. I know we personally did one for a restaurant, and we're able to scan over and you scan a barcode. It popped out all the ingredients, where everything came from, farm to table, what wine pairing it should be. And Ron, that user-generated content that came in blew our minds. Within a few hours of launching this, everyone wanted to be famous. Everyone wanted to play. Everyone wanted to screen capture. And I think we're seeing all the worlds combined. I don't call it content creation anymore. It's curation. It is being able to pull in your world together and curate everything. And so we're not going to see content creators. We're going to see curators that are going in and leveraging AI. They're leveraging this and they're bringing it. It's way more authentic. Gone are the days of the Kardashians. I'm so sorry if they ever hear this. Gone are those days. We want real people. We want to know what real makeup looks like on ourselves. We want to know what we really eat. And we don't want someone to say that it was paid for. I want to say this is the best meal I ever had, and no one ever paid for it. So I think it's really brands embracing unapologetic authenticity. And if they do that, they will soar over the next few years.
Love it. Love it. Ron, I'm going to throw the next question at you to kick us off. What are you worried or concerned about? And that could be from any perspective.
Yeah, Mike, I think I spent a lot of time speaking to brands, mostly on the people retail side, but there's so much conversation that I know is very concerning about, we talked about omni-channel earlier, but brands that are heavily e-commerce, things that they're most concerned about, cookieless shopping. Like without cookies on my website, and I'm converting at on average 2% of this traffic, who are this 98% of people? Who's on my site? And so there's a future where you won't know. And how much of that business translates into my brick and mortar stores? How much of that translates into my wholesale business? How much of that translates into e-commerce? So I think that this, and social media, so the idea of kind of customer transparency, customer knowledge of who is my customer, where are they going? If I'm omni and much of my business is wholesale, I don't know who that customer is. If much of my business is stores, I can understand it for those that are converting. If much of my business is only on my site and I can't track it, who is this? And the only way that we can create retention with customers is to know who you are, and therefore give you content, give you ads, keep you as a customer. But if I don't know who you are, that's really hard to do. So this retention, acquisition, conversion rates on websites, conversion rates in stores. All of these are just KPIs that we, I think, as an industry, are really concerned about, and how we're going to continue to grow our business in an omni-channel way.
Totally agreed. I'll just open it to the floor. Does anybody else want to add on to what Ron just said, or have any other concerns that they want to bring up?
So one thing I'm worried about is really the rise of what I call the algorithmic players, which are, you know, the Shein and the Temu, and even the TikTok shop recently. Now, just to be clear, I'm all for competition, because in the end of the day, competition is what raises the bar for everyone else and also benefits the consumer. But when you see the methods and the sophistications that these retailers are using and the speed by which they capture market share in the United States, I am not sure that we have many retailers, definitely not in the mid-size, small-size retailers, who actually understand these methods and can compete effectively. And I think that puts so many companies in a really what I call the danger zone. And that's really worries me.
Yeah, I made one purchase from Temu or Temu. I'm not quite sure now how to pronounce it. And I was just blown away by, to your point, all the sophisticated methods and tactics that they were employing in this 5-minute session, right? To get me to spend more money and stay on the app. Yeah. Kathy, you want to say something?
That's what I was going to mention. I applaud Hannah for saying that. I was around when technology just began to take off in retail. And it was painful to watch, because the larger players were able to just jump in, speak personally with the CEOs of technology companies, and make that happen for themselves. And look at the result now. The companies that were laggards really are laggards. I mean, many of them are out of business. And so you've got companies that are not doing social media. They're not sure how, and they need to go.
I would like to add on to both of that, because what Ron said, it was striking. But then Hannah, like what you said, I'm worried about the small business owners out there who we're going to see a great divide, unfortunately, for businesses, because they either shift priority and jump on right now, and they're going to have to jump all in. I mean, there's only so much finance that everyone has. There's almost so much funding as a small business owner. As we are all small business owners, that's something that we think about to medium size. If they don't shift their mentality right now to be future thinking, Hannah is right. They're going to be gone, because we're watching these other ones buy up or just like swallow whole, like the small businesses. So it's either got to be a shift in mentality, and they've got to jump on this bandwagon, and they really got to see it, but they can't, to Ron's point, they can't teeter back. There's going to be information that's missing, but they've got to go on. There's going to be, they're gone are the days of like, let me see exactly where this person came from. Was it this social post? And you're like, stop asking what our return on investment is on that post. It's all of the things together, working together, and you should be seeing an uptick across your business. And so I think my biggest fear is worried about the small and medium-sized businesses, because I don't want them to get swallowed up.
Yeah, fascinating. Now, Hannah, I'm going to ask this next question to you, because we were talking for a minute ago about the challenges that different sizes of businesses are having. Now we want to talk about the challenges that we're having when it comes to generations or cohorts of consumers. How do you see today's changes or developments impacting these different generations?
So I think there is a tendency to think in retail that the digital natives, the millennials and Gen Z, they don't like stores, they just like online. And it's actually not true. So really understanding the behaviors of different generation is truly important. I think it's true for millennials, Gen Z. Every single study we do, it's very clear they like to go to stores. And I believe that puts great challenges for retailers, because at the same time that they like to go to stores, they are the true digital natives. So they grow up with social media, they grow up with phones in their hands, and they know what they get from those digital platforms. So in a way, consciously or unconsciously, when they arrive to the store, they expect the same personalization that they get from Netflix, the excitement that they get from Instagram, the discovery of TikTok, the Uber frictionless experience, and they want to come to the store and get exactly the same. So now that raises the bar to actually what you do in a store, and you have to think about how do you serve, those customers in a way that satisfies that digital life that they have. And I think it's quite difficult. On the other hand, if it's much more fun to scroll through an Instagram feed, why would anyone come to your store? Now, when we actually look at how the different generations interact, it's very clear to us that whatever happened with Gen Z never stay with Gen Z. So as they adopt new tools and behaviors, they start trickling up into other generations. So TikTok started as a Gen Z playground, and now we have grandma TikToks. So so I think the way to think about it is what Kathy said in the beginning. You really have to watch out for that new generation that is coming up, because they are the precursor for where everybody else is going to go. And the more you understand them now, the better you're going to do, and you're going to build the tools that are going to last for the next generation.
Makes sense. Would anybody else like to chime in on that topic?
I will, and just say, if you want to reach geezers, go to Facebook. All my friends are posting pictures of their grandchildren on there. I mean, understand the platform. It's valuable, but understand the platform and know who you're talking to.
Robin, I saw you cringe.
I cringe, and I know, Maya, I'm going to go against you, and I don't want to because I love you, but I'm going to go that I'm laughing too, because I told my dad, hey, I can't wait till this is going to be on a podcast. And literally the reason I'm running late is because my dad was helping me with my Instagram. My father, who's 73, I also run a marketing agency. And he's like, you just swipe up to get out of vanish mode. How do you and your mom not know this? And I was like, how do you know this? And he goes, because I'm on the platform every day. And so I think it's the lines are so blurry. He's not on Facebook. He's on Instagram. He's on TikTok. He gets his recipes from Pinterest. And it's not where you think they are. It's still finding your customer, but your customers are going to go find the content that they like. So I kind of go with mine. I kind of don't. I didn't think I was going to be able to share about my dad, literally, because it just happened at like 3:15. And I'm like, how did you know how to do this? And he's like, because you weren't around. So I asked Siri, and I'm like, talk about AI. They're so used to it. They're so used to accepting all of these things. And I think we just have to think differently. I think the Gen X is actually struggling more than the boomers. The boomers I'm a Gen X. The boomers actually have time to learn these things. And so they're going in there, and they're a lot more adaptable than we actually think. And I think businesses are forgetting about them. They have disposable income. They're out there shopping in a different way, and they're happy to talk to their grandkids, or they're bringing the world together. It's the Gen X that's actually struggling the most. I hate to say that, but we're the ones that are a little bit. Right. I was like, a lot of Botox in this face, but Gen X is struggling very hard right now to fit in. And I think it's the boomers and the Zs and the alphas that are coming up that are really blending the worlds. That it is going to be, and with TikTok just maybe disappearing, all these companies who put all this money into it, all the companies who put money into Meta, and it went down the other day. If you didn't have X, or you didn't have Pinterest, and you didn't have YouTube, you were out of luck for that whole day. You lost out sales. And so it is really trying to diversify and make content that your customers like, not where that you think that they want, because they'll go anywhere to follow you.
I feel like I'm so behind with AI. I know I'm not really, but I feel that way because I just don't feel like I've got a lot of time to truly wrap my head around everything that's happening and what I could potentially be using it for. So that's a problem. But folks, we are almost out of time, and I've got just one more question, and I want to let you, Ron, have the first crack at this one, because I want you all to bring out your crystal ball. I want you to think about what's coming, trends, changes to the retail space in the next 6 to 12 months that our social media marketers who are watching right now, what do they need to know about? Ron, you're up.
You need to know where your customer is and how they're behaving. The more you can dig into who your customer is and create loyalty, that's the only way you will win. And you do that in many ways, one of which I think is the crystal ball evolution part of this, is that we have managed different channels of marketing with different vendors and different tools and different software and different platforms. And I think it was okay in the past because we were learning information about how customers behaved. We could use the expertise of one particular software platform to dig in. Today, we've mentioned it now numerous times, the customers bouncing around, they saw you on Insta, they walked into the store, they looked around, they tried things on, they went home, and they bought it on your website. They returned that product back to the store, maybe bought something in the store, came back, looked at you on Insta, and so this circle of like how customers are engaging with every brand is real. And you can't use disparate data to try to figure out who that customer is. So there's great new platforms and software that help you stay in touch. And several of them spoke on this conference today of how you understand every touch point of what your customer is doing. But that is the future. AI certainly plays a big part in this, of how predictive analytics fall into customer behavior, but you've got to find ways to connect all the dots, or you will lose that customer very quickly to somebody else.
That's a great point, Rob. We talked about that with Feedonomics, being able to customize all of the platforms, but we talked about the fact that now the purchase process is so different since you can buy directly through TikTok or directly through Instagram. And it's important to know that. And it's important to change how we're engaging and posting to those channels, knowing that the consumer never needs to leave. It's why at Agorapulse, if you go to publish a piece of content to multiple channels, you can customize it by every channel before that goes out. So take advantage of that. Kathy, I'll let you go next. What do you see coming up next?
I'm actually going to go complementary to Ron and say it's really important for brands and retailers to figure out ways to have customers self-identify. We've got to get to that zero-party data where the customer wants to let you know who they are. Maybe one way to do that is to create clubs where, people from a certain region or people who like a certain designer or something can talk to each other. But they're going to have to self-identify in order to make that happen.
Love it. Build community. Yeah. What would you add, Hannah?
I would say if I have to pick a point on my crystal ball, it would be the fact that trend starts from the bottom. And I believe that there are going to be a great awakening among retailers that trends are no longer just bottom down, but they're coming top down, but bottom up. And, just look at what happened at the end of last year's with the Barbie. Anyone who did not take a ride on that wave lost. So if you are not able to understand the trends that are coming from the consumer themselves and are spread like fire, you just can't participate as a consumer brand, whether you are a retailer or a brand. You don't have, kind of the right to exist. So I believe that we're going to see more of that consumer-driven trends, and the agility that is required to respond to that and be part of it is going to be absolutely critical for success.
Absolutely. Robin, any final thoughts or additions?
Yeah, I'm going to go a totally different direction for this. I think this will be the year of sensory marketing. And what I mean is, since we're doing immersive, we're seeing a lot of brands do multi-touch, multi-taste, smell. They're bringing all the sensories in because we are so overwhelmed with just one screen digital. We're seeing sensories in that experience. So when it's augmented reality versus trying on and touching a product, or it's the music that we're listening to, I think it's going sensory, guys. I really think it's going to be one of those things that gets people's attention, that they put their phone down for a second. So I'm excited. Let's see if our crystal ball is right. If so, I'll play the lottery.
So Robin's prediction is we'll finally get smell-o-vision. I love it.
100%. I actually do think we're going to get that.
Well, folks, that's all the time we've got for today. But I do want to give each of you just a few seconds to share again who you are, who you're with, where people can go to learn more about you and connect. Hannah?
Sure. Hannah Ben Shabbat. I'm the founder of Gen Z Planet. We are a research and advisory firm helping brands and retailers to engage with Gen Z, either as consumers or as employees. You can visit my website, www.genzplanet.com, and you can find my book, Gen Z 360, on Amazon.
Terrific. Kathy?
I don't have a book on Amazon.
Come
I
on,
wish I
Kathy.
did. I create strategies
I can
to
help you with that.
companies reach very senior level retail leaders. And you can see the whole thing at kathyhotka.com.
Fantastic. Ron?
I do have a book on Amazon. It's called Retail Pride. And my company name is Aussie. You go to useaussie.com, USEOSSY. You can find the book. You can find me. You can contact me. Everything you need to know is on Use Aussie. So thank you. Thanks, Mike, for hosting us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Robin?
Hi, I'm Robin Diamond. I'm the CEO and founder of Fifth in Core. Fifth, like the five senses, core, Latin for heart, so COR. I dropped my LinkedIn in the channel, so if you want to go in and connect, I would love to talk to you. I do not have a book on Amazon, but apparently I need to start working with Kathy to get that done. So we will work together and let everyone know our new release on LinkedIn. So go and connect with us on that way.
Fabulous, fabulous. I'm Mike Alton. I'm the head of strategic partnerships at Agorapulse. My book on Amazon is The Ultimate Guide to Social Media Marketing, which was a co-authored book. So I'm going to help these ladies come out with their next book. It'll be amazing. It'll be out next year in bookstores near you. Thank you for listening to another episode of Social Pulse Podcast Retail Edition, hosted by Mike Alton and powered by Agorapulse, the #1 rated social media management solution, which you can learn more about at agorapulse.com. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe on your favorite podcast player and be sure to leave us a review. Your feedback is important to us.
This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.